afraid no more. The Father bless me with the heart of a lion and a warrior soul. So no weapon that form against us shall not prevail. And no man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer, conquer them. Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of days. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my blade. Fire burn all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chain. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David turns Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart rip up and stitch it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people, you go meet it up. Pass me the Congo drum and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up. So no weapon that form against us shall not prevail. And no man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer, conquer them. Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You are everything, Father. Thank you. Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you gave us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of flesh. Send down your warriors with the hello, they carry down to the end of days. No matter how the devil try trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this time is coming, I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no other. Could it be that we the my soul? No weapon that form against us shall not prevail. And no man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer, conquer them. I am a man, I am a champion, I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 91.9 and 91.5 RealFM Radio, Sister Al Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou on 92.9, and of course 94.9, which is We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. Of course, a special good morning to all of those joining us on the live video. Whether you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, a very special good morning to you. And this morning with me in studio, I have none other than my co-host, Mr. Bowler. Mr. Bowler, good morning.
Miss Duncan. I hope you had a wonderful night. It was rainy
did.
a bit. And good morning to all our listeners out there. It is again a pleasure to be with you. It is Thursday. Another Thursday. It was just like yesterday I was here saying it was Thursday. I mean, I know 2 days has passed that I hadn't been on the program, and it appears as though it's, just like yesterday. But be that as it may, we had some showers during the night. I think it was about 2 o'clock thereabout when I heard the showers start coming down on the rooftop where I slept last night. Into the morning, even up until about 6:30 thereabout, we still had a sort of light but continuous kind of rainfall.
Yeah.
I know the plants are glad for it, and so the farmers are happy. Many of the farmers. Probably those in the higher belt not too happy, because when you get too much water sometimes that is also bad for your crops, and not enough is bad, too much is bad. So we have to be contented with what we get, but it was very, very warm for the past couple of weeks, so I believe that those raindrops that came last night, and I think a day or two before, would have done wonders for many of us. Be that as it may, we are here again today for another segment of Hard Talk. We ask you, those of you who are already tuned in, to shout your neighbor, tell a friend, call your relative, make your mother know, your father know. Hard Talk is on. Need to tune in.
Yep.
You've got no reason not to listen to Hard Talk, because I know that we are covering the entire island. There are at least 4 radio stations locally, and 1 in New York. So even your family and friends in New York, they can hear you. You can join us on the live. You can send us a WhatsApp message. You can post something that you have a concern about, a question you want to ask, a statement you want to make, even if it is a criticism, because we believe that there's always room for improvement in whatever we do. We aim to do and to be the very best. So let's get it going. Have a wonderful Thursday.
Now, we have so much to talk about this morning, and I know I promised you that Mr. Bola had some things that he wanted to address, but we're going to wait a little later down for him to address that, because we want to give some very important information this morning.
You promised people that?
I did yesterday. I tell you, to make sure, because I know you didn't hear the last part of the program because you were, engaged in other things, but I make sure I tell you, go and listen, and I promise the people, so you better come good this morning. Anyway.
You make me have to see what I really want to say, Duncan. You want me to come good. Anyway, go ahead with your...
We have so much information to give this morning, and I want us to begin with the tablets. There were a few queries, concerns from parents that some of the applications that are being used at the schools for the blended learning approach were not installed on the tablet. So things like the Zoom and the Edmodo and so on were not installed. And
on some of the devices.
On some of the devices. I don't think it was all. I think it was some. And I did reach out to the minister to see if I could get just some clarification on why that was and things. And I couldn't really relate, because I haven't collected my daughter's tablet as yet. We're supposed to do that tomorrow. So I definitely would not be here tomorrow. But I couldn't relate really, because I didn't have it in hand. But Mr. Bola, you could relate because your daughter has received hers as well.
She has, and she too, from the onset, as soon as it was brought home and she placed the device to charge, she said to me, "But Daddy, there's a problem." I said, "What could the problem be?" She said, "I'm not seeing Edmodo need a Zoom on it."
Right.
I said, "Was it supposed to be?" She said, "Yes, because that's the medium by which they can do the virtual learning."
Right.
The Edmodo is the platform that they use. But one of the things that happened, though, is when I went to collect, and I think it was the same for every parent when you go, they would give you a number.
Right.
A telephone number, and it is said that this is a number to get in contact with someone at the Ministry of Education if you have any issue with the device, something is missing, if something isn't working.
Yeah.
Because there's a complete technical team. But I also understand, and I learned that from the school, not from the ministry, that every school will have placed in them a technical person.
Right. The minister did say
right.
that.
So I didn't even hear the minister say, but they said so at the school. I think the ministry is at the moment going through the process of evaluating or interviewing, whatever it is they're doing to ensure that they get people, not just with the skill, but who are suitable to be placed in the schools. And these people, when placed in the school, their responsibility will be mainly to deal with the little teething problems. And Minister did say, and I recall we said on this program, that when the devices and the process starts in on it, there will be teething problems.
Of course,
there will be a couple of things that would have to be fixed and tweaked along the way.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that because you had various teams putting in the content on these devices, some people did all of what was necessary to be done. Others, and sometimes others didn't put all of it. And sometimes these things happen when you have a mass of, thousands of tablets that you're trying to upload the program on. It is our understanding, based on what you have discussed with me this morning, that for the devices that did not get those two contents loaded, will be uploaded remotely. So,
yes, they will
in other words, you don't have to bring in the device to the school or to the ministry or way so that they will take it from you to go and upload those things.
Yeah.
It can be done remotely, and for those who have it, if they're already on their system, if there needs to be update, it will be updated remotely.
But even if that is not done, or it's not done in that way, Mr. Bowler, I don't really foresee a problem, because when, and I'm just speaking for St. Joseph Convent, when my daughter went into school last week, they had them bring in whatever device, whether it's a computer or a phone or so on, that they'll be using until they get the device. And what they did for those children is to let them download the Zoom and the Edmodo and so on the device that they're currently using.
Right.
So even if the device comes without it, I'm quite certain that the technicians and the IT technicians at the school would be able to assist as well in the downloading of the Zoom and the Edmodo and so on. And I think one of the difficulties that the children are having is that they can't do it themselves because there's a lock on the Play Store.
Right, yes.
So and that is one of the things that the minister did allude to. She did say that there will be restrictions so that children are not exposed to, a lot of
download whatever
content.
they wish to.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It is a way of controlling what material the children get to look at, to be exposed to, yes, a lot of them, they are growing and there are things that they would like to know. But these devices, the way I understand it, was meant for educational purposes along a certain line.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't mean that there are not other things on the internet that you cannot learn from. But in going openly, in the open marketplace, there's always a possibility that you may come across some kind of material that is not best suited for a learning environment.
Yeah. And I want to appeal to the people out there who are making this very ridiculous comment of, oh, these things made in China. Let me be very clear. When you go on social media and you type, oh, this is made in China, you should do some research on the device that you are actually using to type it. It's probably made in China too. And if the device itself or the case that it comes in is not made in China, a part of it has been solicited from China as well. So we have to be very careful in what we are saying. When you don't know better, just don't say anything at all. These devices, it's a good thing. We just have to see it for what it is. It's a good thing. It's a massive step for us. We are ahead in terms of of Caribbean countries or regional islands in the online learning experience. We are far ahead. So I don't understand why. And it's funny, some of the people who are talking don't even have children going to school. Right?
Well, maybe some is Duncan, but I sometimes take a different view. Not that what you're saying is wrong in any way, and I don't ever want anyone to think that you and I are at loggerheads with what we say here. I take a slightly different view because I understand that it doesn't matter what is done. It doesn't matter how much tons of good it can do for our country and the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. There are just some individuals within our country that could never, ever see the good in anything done once the NNP government is involved in it. Yes? So, when you say you don't understand, I understand. And I pity some of these people because their minds are not open and they are not focused enough to understand that, hey, these devices, these learning instruments, as we call it, is going to take our children and our country and our education system one step forward. Is the education system in Grenada perfect? Absolutely not. Have the present minister or past ministers been able to do everything that we request of them? No. But gradually, incrementally, step by step, they're trying to get there. They're doing better. And you're so correct. We are leaps and bounds ahead of so many of our islands around us. Even Trinidad and Tobago, who is supposed, based on the ability to extract and to sell crude oil and other things, should be a country with far more resources than Grenada. And they are appealing to the general public and to the business community to assist them in getting some of these devices for the students that go to school in Trinidad. We are fortunate that we have devices here for all of our secondary school students. And teachers. I heard, and teachers as well. And I've heard a caller on Tuesday calling on to the point saying that only some students will get. And that very caller, I know the voice, I know the individual in particular. A month and a half ago, 2 months ago, when the announcement was made that the devices was on the way, they were being shipped, they will get to Grenada pretty soon. And so did call to the point program saying, well, she already know it's only the children of people who support the NNP will get devices. I don't know how she knew that. I don't know who told her that. And today, just on Tuesday, she was making this ridiculous statement that only some children. And she went on to say that some parents reported to her. So I don't know what's her role, that the devices are no good. A lot of the things are no good. And I guess, did she say guess or believe? One of the one word or the other she used, that these are all things that come out of China. And I mean, there's just this anti-Chinese, anti-Chinese sentiment being shared by some people who know better and should do better than create that kind of a feel. I mean, they went on, there are people going on about the Libera project, which is not even run. The company isn't owned by Chinese. No, it's a company out of Singapore. As far as I learned, there's only one gentleman that is part of this company that is of Chinese origin.
And
one
he lives
gentleman.
in California.
And he lives and have been living in California for the last 20 years. He's a resident of the United States. He's born out of China, but residing in the U.S. And, we just go on sometimes without having any facts about what we say. And we keep pleading to our people. Let's be careful. No one wants to muzzle you. No one is saying you shouldn't talk. No one is saying that you should not make reference to things that you know or things that you perceive may happen. And if it's a perception you have of something, say it. Say, look, based on what has happened in the past, based on history, based on records, I believe if we do this, this may be the case, right? So you're saying, based on your gut feeling, based on the history, based on what you've seen happen in the past, but don't go about putting things out there as though and you're factual and you make pronouncements, and some people just take it wholesale and they follow you. We always say, fact check what you hear, what you see, what you know. So based on all that the ministry has reported, there is enough devices here in Grenada at the moment for every secondary school child. Everyone registered as a child going in school because they got the numbers from the school. So if a child did not get or there's not a device for a child, it's because the school never put in the name.
Or, and I don't want to say that, Mr. Bola. I don't want to place all the blame on the school. It could have also been a mix-up. With the handing over, maybe the ministry missed the name when they're putting it in. All of that is possible. I don't want to just say it's the school that did.
No, I wasn't blaming. I was saying if there isn't a device for a child, it's probably because the school did not list that child name, it was missed in typing, one was omitted. Those things do happen. It's human error, they call it, right?
But then again...
But there is enough, based on what we understand, that if that has happened, that child will still get a device because, based on what the minister would have said, they brought in, based on the numbers, they brought in for all teachers. And now, in terms of the teachers, even the primary school teachers will receive their devices in that shipment that came. The primary school students will get this probably by December because their version of the devices is yet to arrive, but it's coming. It's paid for, it's purchased, it's coming, right? But for the secondary schools, they are here, and for all teachers island-wide, and there are a few in case they were one or two that is malfunctioning or what from the onset, they can replace them.
And I want people to understand, even in our own electronic devices that we buy at home, sometimes we order we big TV from the US and it come down and we have to send it back because it's giving everything. Sometimes every 6 months you see somebody having to change a phone because your warranty
even
up
vehicles.
and it malfunctions.
Even vehicles.
Of course.
You purchase sometimes a brand new vehicle from one of the dealers, and within weeks or months you have to take it back because something is malfunctioning.
Yeah.
Some wire isn't connected properly, a fuse go bad, something. Yeah. So, I mean, these things are not perfect.
Exactly.
Right? And that is why you have trained people as technicians, irrespective to whether it's a computer, a telephone, a vehicle, what have you, that can diagnose
of course
what the issue may be. And it doesn't mean because something malfunctioned that it's no good.
Yeah.
It may just mean that a part went bad. Because it's human beings make all those parts, you know. Human beings, even though you use robots and so, set up all those devices to work. Yes? And something may have gone wrong at some point. Doesn't mean that the government give you all things. I mean, who in government has been in the manufacturing plant where they manufacture those devices? No one. You trust the fact that the people who manufacture it would have tested it and guarantee you that it's working. And that's why you have warranty on most of the, especially electronic items. You have warranty. They give you a certain time span to say, look, within these 12 months, these 24 months, these 18 months, these 6 months, depending on the kind of device that you get, we guarantee that it will function and function well. And if it doesn't, it is once it's a manufacturing fault, we take responsibility to have it repaired, have it replaced, whatever the case may be. So, I mean, sometimes we just behave, or there are some people, as I've said before, that will never see the good in anything that is done as long as NNP or Prime Minister Kit Mitchell is around. They could never see the good. They believe there is no good. And I've learned a very, very long time ago, there is good in everyone.
Absolutely.
Even in your worst enemy. There's good in everyone. Some people have more good than others in them. Some people allow the bad deeds and bad things to override the good in them, but there's good in every single person. And so I want us as citizens, as parents, as guardians, as those who are there, to just be patient a little bit. When there was no device, there's a lot of talk about, oh, that was a promise made, and we can't see it. Now there is the devices, you find a different thing to complain about. Who say he ain't good? Who say it's a gift? When the minister clearly said that the government went beyond and above, over $11 million invested in bringing the devices. Now they are being distributed. There's confusion and quarrel about how it's being distributed. The ministry had said, listen, we're doing it in a phase basis. We're going form by form. There are some schools, based on their efficiency, they're probably a little bit more ahead than others. So there are some schools that probably down to Form 3 or Form 2 now. I know the school that one of my daughters go to is this week, I think, the Form 3s, maybe today or tomorrow, I'm not sure, is going to get, because the Form 5s and Form 4s received already. And once the Form 3s receive now, come next week sometime, I guess the Form 2s and later on the Form 1s. Your daughter is going into Form 1, and look, she's going to be receiving tomorrow.
Yeah.
So some schools are a little ahead in terms of the distribution than others. Again, I guess because of the efficiency, the amount of people involved in the distribution program, because, it's pretty sensitive, and the way in which they do it, wanting to make sure that everything is done properly. It takes time, because when I went to the school, it took me about, I was a little late. I was about 8 or 10 minutes late. And I remember you warned me. And by the time I got to the school,
the line was long.
Well, it's not a line. Everybody was seated in a room, but I got number 66.
You see, I tell you.
Yeah, but it was all good still. So there were 65 people ahead of me. So I had to wait my turn. And of course, I did, because that's the number I have. So we're just asking people for patience. And here, again, I just want to repeat that. We're not saying that if you have a genuine concern, you should not make it known. And, of course, why take social media? Why take to social media? Why go on a radio program and talk about an issue you may have with the device
that you
or
probably
something
never even reported to
the relevant
authorities.
authorities.
Yeah.
And that's the point I was going to make, that you should first and foremost report it to the relevant authorities. A phone number is given to you. Did you even call that number and report? Did you call and didn't find somebody? You called 4 or 5 times, no one responded, or someone responded and couldn't give you a proper answer. Then you say, well, no, I mean, it's high time that I make others know, look, I have an issue with the device given to my child.
Yeah.
I've called several times the number they told me to call. I've reached out to the PS or the minister or to the chief education officer or the principal of the school or whoever it is. No one has done anything. Then you have all right. But sometimes we skip over all the hoops.
Yeah.
And we go right to the very end because it is sexy, it is nice to have something bad to say, you know? So we're going straight to social media, or we going to the world and we tell the world, oh, these old devices that they're giving children. Is it a fact that all of the devices don't function properly? Or is it just a couple of them malfunctioning? Or is there any malfunctioning at all?
Exactly.
You know, we need to ask this question.
You're correct.
Maybe there's just some content materialized not on yours.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a switch, or maybe even some of the children, as has been said, probably don't understand fully how to operate and work the device. And that is why they say it's a transitional period. Children as well as teachers and parents are now in that learning curve, that phase where they are acclimatizing themselves with the devices, where they're getting user-friendly with the devices, where they're getting to know it better. There are some children that are pro already because they have been using devices, not the same one, but pretty similar, knowing all of the functionality, what keys to get what and so. And for them, it's like just a walk in the park with their eyes closed. There are others that are a bit more new to the devices and need time. And so you don't want to have some children way ahead of others. And that's why the ministry is saying, let's take it slow. So probably for this entire school year, you know, you would use the devices on and off. It won't be straight devices, and that's why you still need some books, and because they are trying to interact and get acclimatized and know the device much better. And so they need time. And there'll be little teething problems that they need to fix and need to adjust and change and so. And we just appeal for patience and we say, work with the ministry, work with the school, work with the teachers, work with the students. And come 2021 school year, 2022 into 2021, you would see a definite difference because the children will be more accustomed. And by then, the primary school ones getting into secondary schools would have acclimatized themselves because they would have their devices at the primary level. So when they get into secondary school, it's nothing new for them. You know, they're all on board and ready to go. So I really do appeal and hope that we're going to see a difference. Yes, you may talk about some of the issues. You may offer some solution or some ideas that you may have as to how things can be improved, can be done better. Doesn't mean that everything you say will be taken on board wholesale, but let's do it properly. Let's be more sensitive and sensible. There are some people really trying hard, really pushing. There are some people at the ministry that has worked overtime, has gone into the late hours of the night, trying to ensure that the devices were prepared, trying to ensure that the content was placed on them, ensuring that they were all functional so that your children can have a functional device. And, you know, as we say, from a human standpoint, there may be one or two things that has been missed. And you may find a device or so that is not fully functional or doesn't have all of the content, and you need to make a complaint. Please do so
to the relevant authorities.
To the relevant authorities, and we honestly do believe that those things can be rectified.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we have gone past, or at least we should have gone past the stage where everything now becomes a complaint, you know, and we're not using the proper channels. But we gone on, and radio hosts and these people as well have a responsibility to make sure that these people don't just go around using your forum to mislead other people. Very, very careful of that. They're using your forum to mislead people, and some of them are just allowing it to happen, and it really is not very nice. Like, for example, if that lady had called here, the first question I would ask her is, well, how do you plan to assist these people? What is your role and function in all of this, and how do you plan? Have you contacted the relevant authorities? Is this your last resort? Are you using your last resort first? You know, and these are the questions that we need to ask to really get behind the motive, because the motive is what is most important. Some of these people probably did complain to her and say, okay, well, look, or even mention just in conversation, not even a complaint, you know. They probably just mentioned it in conversation that this has happened to my device, my child's device, or that has happened. And she just took the people's story and made it her own and decided that that is what she's going to use as ammunition against, you know, whoever it is that she has a grievance with. And it's not right, it is not fair, it is not just. Just do the right thing. Do the right thing. Contact
even when you don't feel like doing it.
Even when you don't feel like doing it.
Still do the correct thing.
Do the right thing. There's a number that was provided. Call the number for support. There'll be a technician in the school. Use the technician at your school. When you call shaggy and to the point and these kind of things and make these complaints, they are not technicians. They cannot help you in these areas. Use the resources that are available to you to get your problem resolved. And if those resources fail, if those resources prove to be futile, then you make your claim public to see how you can get assistance. But the motive, Mr. Bola, is always what is important. Why do people do the things that they do? Is it really because they want help, they want to see better, or is it because they want to demonize, or they want to chastise, or they want to make the government look bad? It's so badly that they are willing to run down their entire country just to do that one thing.
Yep.
You know, it's very sad.
Like our foreparents say, they burn the entire church to kill a rat.
To kill a rat,
Yeah,
absolutely.
one rat. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, we want to move on because I know the people in the diaspora want to listen to the new protocols. They want to hear what's going on. I know a few people want to come back home. And we have, was it from today or from this weekend that we'll be getting direct flights? Is it JetBlue?
JetBlue, I think yes. I think it's from
flights.
this weekend, either this week or next week. But I know it's the early part of October.
We'll be giving direct flights to Grenada.
I think 5 or 7 days per week. I think
Right.
we will be
Now
having
we
flights
do
every day.
have new protocols, and I want to take some time to go through.
Well, should we call it new or updated?
Updated.
Yes, I think it's updated.
Protocols.
Yeah.
Because I want to go through some of the things, provide people with the website, because the reservation, booking for reservation, the pre-travel forms, the mobile app, and all of that is there on the website that you can check it out. It's covid19.gov.gd. COVID-19.gov.
COVID dash 19.
You feel like it. No, it's just not dash. It's just
Isn't that I'm
no.
seeing up there?
No, you're not seeing that at all.
Then blue on top. Well, you know, you have the computer in front of you.
Right. Let me tell you what I'm reading. This here.
No, okay. What's on the
Right.
side? My bad. Sometimes when you fast into the business, that has happened.
That has happened,
Yeah,
yes.
I see COVID dash. It's much bigger than where you're reading.
No,
So
that's for the relief fund.
Okay,
So
right,
it's
right.
covid19.gov.gd. And you would get there all of the protocols, the updated protocols for traveling to Grenada, along with the pre-travel forms and the link that would take you directly to the App Store to download the app. The app is actually called RonaTrack. I want to believe that's how it's pronounced. It's RonaTrac, yeah, right? And you download the app before coming to Grenada. So let me tell you what the protocols are. We're still going with, it's no longer red, yellow, and green. It's now the CARICOM travel bubble countries, the low-risk countries, and all other countries. So for those in the CARICOM travel bubble, right, and that includes Barbados, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you are not required to present a PCR test, and you don't go into quarantine. I believe that a rapid test will be done
upon arrival.
So that is the travel bubble, right? Now, low-risk countries, and if you go on the website, there is a blue tab that says click here, and it would give you a list of all of the countries that are considered low risk. And it's so much I can't even begin to to say them all here today. We'll take the whole afternoon to do that. But it gives you a comprehensive list of all of the countries that are considered low risk. Now, if you're coming from a low risk country, you have to present a negative PCR test that's required within 7 days of travel. And of course, if the test is negative, and I think that is something they omitted from this, if it is negative, then you do not have to quarantine. However, if you come in and you get a positive PCR, not PCR, if you come in and you get a positive rapid test, more than likely you would be expected to quarantine. So we need you to, I don't know if
I
that
don't know
was
why you say more than likely.
Well,
because
more than
once you are
likely.
tested and you come up with a positive, you
Not PCR, but a
you
negative.
will, and then within days they will do a PCR,
Okay.
a PCR test.
So, and that is something I did not see anything about the rapid testing here in the updated protocols, and maybe it's something that they need to put, because sometimes you have to read and spell every single little detail.
Yep.
For some people, otherwise they'll take it and as gospel and say, listen, all it didn't say on the website XYZ, so it does not apply. But there are rapid tests being done at the airport, and if you have a positive rapid test, you will be expected to quarantine until you get a PCR test. If it does come back negative, then you're free to travel. If your PCR and your rapid test is negative, guess what? You're free to come and enjoy Grenada with us, right? Now, for all other countries, you have to come with a negative PCR test, which is required 7 days before you travel. Right? Now, a minimum of 4-day reservation at an approved accommodation for observation and quarantine. I want to repeat that. You're coming in with a negative PCR test, which should have been done 7 days or within 7 days of travel. You are expected to make a 4-day reservation at the approved accommodation facilities for observation or quarantine. The visitor on day 4 has an option to get a PCR test to be allowed into the community or to remain in the hotel for the duration of their visit. Residents on day 4 have to get a PCR test to be allowed to go home. So if you choose to stay in the hotel, then that is fine. However, if you plan to leave the hotel, to go home or to enjoy the country or whatever it is, you have to do a PCR test, and that test must be negative. All right? So people coming from the United States of America and these things, I know you were worried about the 14-day quarantine, wondering, if I come and I want to come for 10 days, if I have to spend the whole 14 days in quarantine. That is not the case. You spend a minimum of 4 days in quarantine, in a approved facility. And of course, if after 4 days you want to go ahead and enjoy the island, then you can definitely do so, but you have to do a PCR test in order to do that. So
And that PCR test should be negative.
it should be negative, of course. So I hope that puts a lot of people's minds at rest, people wanting to come to Grenada. Now, is the quarantine at a government-designated location? That's coming from a question from the online chat. There are some hotels that have been approved by government to host quarantine individuals. I think True Blue Bay Resort is one of those. And I'm not quite sure of the others.
They have them on the website, yeah? Those that are approved.
Let me see.
And that's why they say an approved government facility.
Right.
The hotels.
Not necessarily government facility that government decide that they are. Oh, there is the list.
Not government owned the facility.
Right.
Government approved. So it was facilities that the health department and the COVID-19 team would have been to, checked out, approve and certify.
Right.
Right? Did you see the number?
Yes, I have the
you have the
list.
names there? Yes. So
I
you can
do.
probably just call them out.
Right. So they're
people-
called Pure Safe Accommodation.
Accommodation.
It's Sea Breeze Hotel, True Blue Bay Boutique Resort, Bogle's Roundhouse, and I think Bogle's
That
is
is in
Carriacou.
Carriacou, yes.
Right. La Luna Boutique Beach Hotel and Villas, Lansapine Apartments, La Sagesse Hotel, Restaurant, Beach and Bar, Captain Harris Suites, Cabier Ocean Lounge.
That's way up there in
yeah.
in Crochet.
Crochet.
Yeah.
Hideaway Apartments, Tropicana, Armadillo, Clarenceville, Silver Sands, Sandals, Bella Blue Apartments, Lorena's, that's in Carriacou as well, Wavecrest, Mariposa, so many. It's 18 of them. Calinago, Casa Calypso, Granance,
Casa
Beach.
Calypso.
That's the first time I'm hearing that one.
I find that one song's new to me.
Yeah, Casa Calypso Apartments.
Did they have an address for that? They don't? No. Okay.
I would have to click on it and it would take me. Oh, wow. If you click on them, they take you to the actual.
Right.
Yeah,
so they give you more
advertisement.
details where they
Yeah.
are and right.
It's. I'm looking to see exactly where it is. I don't know.
Well, you'd have to read up, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just that this is new. I don't think I ever heard the name before.
Yeah. Blue Horizon, Mitchell's Guest House, Grooms Beach. Let me see. I think they got mixed up. Mount Hartman Estate, Armadillo Restaurant, Valley Breeze, Mount Cinnamon, Carriacou, Grandview. If I missed any, I apologize because they're shuffling all over the place. Calabash.
So there are quite a lot.
18 of them.
Right.
So you guys make your reservations. I believe that you can make the reservations online.
That's what they expect you to do.
Right,
Because when
so-
you arrive in Grenada, you should already know
Where
you're
be.
going to spend at least the first 4 days.
Yeah.
Right? And the only reason you may have to spend more is if you come up with a positive test. Based
Right.
on what they're saying. Once your test is negative and you conform to all the other requirements, 4 days is what they'll keep you for observation. So the
Yeah.
whole issue of 14 days of quarantine is not out the door. That is only necessary
If
if
you're
you show up
positive.
positive.
Yeah.
But in the first instance, once you're coming from these other countries that are not considered to be safe zone countries, you must spend a minimum of 4 days, after which time you would have an additional test done. And if that test comes up negative, then you are free to go enjoy yourself for the day. So for those people who said, well, I can only come for 10 or 12 days, if I had a quarantine for 14, I wouldn't get a chance. No, the revised version is saying you come with a PCR test, hopefully that will be negative, because if you come with one that's positive and you're tested and your test positive, because you will still be tested upon arrival, it means that it doesn't matter how many days. If you come for 10, you won't spend the 10 days in quarantine and have to go back.
Yeah.
If your test is negative, because you should do it before you leave, and it's negative, and you're tested on the airport, it's negative, you're going to be spending at least 4 days in the first instance, after which a test will be done again. And if that also comes up negative, then you are free to go.
Absolutely.
So in other words, within 7 and 4, that's like 11 days, you would have at least 3 tests done, maybe 2 PCR and a rapid in the middle. And if all 3 show up positive, and why I say 7, because the test that you're coming with can be done at least 7 days before you leave.
Right.
Right? It should be within not more than 7 days before you leave. And if you did it at least 7 days before you leave, when you arrive, it's a rapid is being done, and 4 days after in quarantine, another one, then you're free to go.
And I want to make this appeal because there are going to be the few out there who are going to say, oh, well, if that is the case, then we open up the place for Corona. What I want to do at this moment is to, and what we should all actually be doing, is appealing to the people, the guests and the visitors and the family members that are coming, to follow the protocol that is given to you, to follow the protocol that you meet here. Social distance, wear your mask. You know, we want people to come home. We want people to be able to come back to Grenada. We want our economy to begin thriving once again. However, we don't want to do it at the risk of our Grenadian people. And if push comes to shove and we have to shut down again, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that we will have to and that we will. But we want to appeal to the people, even because what they've alluded to is that in most countries that have opened up, reinfection happens because people tend not to follow the protocols when they come here. They believe that, well, I've come from a place where I've been locked down for so long and I've been wearing masks, and for some reason we're giving them the impression that anything goes here in Grenada, so they could just come and do what they want to do. And they come and they want a social distance. They don't want to wear the mask. They want to stay home for 2 days just to make sure they ain't sick. From the first night they come, you see them, they in a bar or they in a party or something like that. And that is putting our people at risk. So we want you to come. We are happy that you're coming home. But we also are pleading and begging with you to follow the necessary protocols. We want this thing to work for everybody, you know?
Well, we had the police on Tuesday after the regular cabinet press briefing.
Yes.
With a pretty lengthy but sensible, in my opinion, press conference where again we had Superintendent Corinne and I think Superintendent Prince was there, and the CMO, Dr. Sean Charles, explaining again what is happening, why the protocol. Because, you know, you hear a lot of comments. These are the people who constantly, and it has been said from the moment we entered into COVID and you had the COVID committee or team, whatever you call them, that was made up of medical experts and others. And they have constantly been saying that they will be reviewing the protocols as time goes by.
Yeah.
You know? Or you want to take a call?
Yeah, because I think this call is from the diaspora. So let's take this call quickly. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Miss Duncan.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing? Good?
I am well,
Mr.
yes.
Bola wrong? Mr. Bola wrong?
Yeah, man, he right here next
I'm
to
not
me.
a wrong mister.
Okay.
I'm sitting in the chair next to, well, not so close for your information, but next to. And there's a partition that separates Miss Duncan and I. So even if she stretch her hands or I stretch mine, all we can do is put it against the glass to each other. So I ain't touching her, I ain't reaching her.
I just asked a simple question. I didn't ask for all this explanation.
I'm giving you an answer and an explanation that could be as crystal clear as possible. As crystal clear as the glass that I'm seeing out through.
Okay. I'm glad for that information, but there is a couple of things. Well, first of all, I just checked the App Store. I'm not seeing anything. It's saying not found for the app that you spoke about, that the government spoke about. So I'm not sure if it's for Android or Apple or whatever, because I use Apple. I haven't seen it.
Well, I have it.
I'm not sure if there's a problem in the system. I'm not sure.
I have it open in front of me, so I'm not sure why you are not seeing it. I'm not sure if it's an Apple issue.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I mean I'll try again and think. But another thing I would like the persons involved with the task force involved with this thing to know. Not every state you can just go and get a rapid test. There are states that you would only get a test if you're showing signs of the virus. If you're showing signs of the symptoms, you would be tested. So I'm not sure how that would work in that case, because, for example, in the state of New York, it might be different than in the state of Oklahoma or in the state of California than Idaho. So I'm not sure. Maybe if there is such information that you may know or the task force may know, we would like to know, please. You understand where I'm coming from, right?
I hear you clearly, and I glean what you're saying. It's a sensible thing, but I mean, I'm not a member of the task force, and of course I don't want to appear to speak on their behalf. But sometimes it becomes difficult to tailor make a law or put a protocol that fits all. But you're right with what you're saying. Because of the difficulty sometimes based on where you live to get a test before you leave. So someone wanting to come by but I can't get the test done, and that's a requirement. I must come with the results of a test. How do I do that?
It's not necessarily that you cannot get the test, but if you're not showing signs of
they won't do it.
Or symptoms of the virus, you will not be tested in a lot of states. I don't want to say most states, in a lot of states. So you have to show signs of the virus before they can actually consider testing you. So maybe someone from the task force, not you guys, but someone from the task force may be able to speak to that. How does one deal with it in that particular case? How would Grenada deal with it in that particular case? So in case of someone coming, they might want to know which state are you coming from? And if you know, for example, Missouri does not do tests like this except to show symptoms, and the person comes from Missouri, how would they deal with it? As it compares, if you compare with maybe Idaho or New York or Louisiana, so it's different in the U.S. Not in every state. I want them to understand it is different. It is good to get a test, but it may be difficult based on where one originates from.
Yep. Not
transit, because I can live in one state and transit to another state before I come. But based on the state that you live, you may not be able to get a test done, a rapid test done, if he or she is not displaying any symptoms or signs of COVID. So I would like that to be taken into consideration. And I'll try again to see if I can get
here's what you can
go ahead.
Here's what you can do. I'm not sure if you're listening or viewing us live online, but I just posted the link to the app in the chat on the live video. So I clicked on it and I got it. So I'm not sure if it's an issue with your operating system since you're using iPhone. So maybe it could be that if you're not getting it still.
Because some apps you may be able to get from Android, and some apps you'll get from Apple, and some you'll get both. So that's why I wanted to know, because I tried. I'm gonna try again and see. But
here's another thing you can do. If you're using Apple, sure one of your girlfriends might be using Android. So let them try and see if they can get it on Android.
Mr. Bola,
Mr. Bola, why you want to make Ms. Duncan jealous?
No. That was never the intent. I'm just saying, look, you're using one system that probably is not showing up the thing. So just to make sure, if you have somebody, a friend, I didn't want to tell you about boyfriend. That's why I said girlfriend. Because
no, that one can't work.
People mix things up, and I want to be so careful what I say. So someone else that probably using I can try it and see if they will get the app, just to make sure that you see.
And what could happen to someone who is there in the diaspora, if you have an iPhone, try with your Apple product, see if you get it download, and maybe call the program and let me know if it's my phone or something like that.
And let me just tell you, I have spoken with the Minister with responsibility for legal affairs. In fact, she promised me that she will attempt and she will let us know by the end of the week to see if she can be on program by next week. You remember some time ago you asked a question about whether or not consideration will be given at some time for people in the diaspora, absenteeism voting, as we call it, I think.
Yes.
Right. So she did say to me that at the moment that is not something under consideration, but she would have, one of the legal minds in the legal department research to see what sort of changes may need to happen if that will be considered down the line. So at the moment, no, they are not considering it, but they will tell us when she comes on, if she does come on next week, what the requirements may be if it has to be considered. So I just wanted you to know that not because we're not so much good friends, when you ask questions, I just follow through.
You hear Mr. Bola say, me and him may not be good friends. Mr. Bola, have a good day, you hear?
I'm not taking
because I'm still sure, Ms. Duncan, that maybe I might owe Mr. Bola 50 cents for something I credit in his shop.
You understand?
when he had shop.
Confession is good for the soul.
Okay, have a
You
good day.
take care. Have a blessed one yourself. Eh? All the best to you.
All right.
Great.
Someone is asking, what is the protocol for Grenadians going to the USA? Well, you'd have to find out the protocol in the state
In
that
the state, yes.
that you're traveling to. In
Yes.
the same way that people in the diaspora have to find out what
Right.
our protocols is. I
Yes,
think it's the
yeah.
same. You have to find out what protocols apply in the
Yeah.
state that you're going
We
to.
cannot set the protocol
Yeah.
for any other country.
Any other country.
Every country has their own protocols that you would have to follow if you're traveling into the state.
And I read this morning that in New York City, they have implemented a fine actually, of $1,000 for people seen without their masks, you know.
Well, I heard the news some weeks ago that in Australia, it was $1,000 US if the police catch you without your mask. Mm-hmm. Right, and now you're saying in New York it's happening.
And
So, in Grenada,
the UK, they
yeah.
also implemented a fine as
Right.
well.
When we were told that we need to, we carried on. And that was the point, not necessarily just the mask, but I was about making before we had the caller saying that at the press conference, I thought that the police officers did an excellent job in trying to explain, because we have people who are not experts. Well, they have overnight become experts, because one of the things that I recognized in recent times, because of all of the social media platforms that are now available, where people can freely comment and upload videos and do everything, it appears as though we all become, or most people, not we all, but most people have become experts. They have suddenly qualified with expertise in various fields that they have never been to school or to university to study. Just the mere fact that they now have a device in their hand and they can do a video and so. And people are complaining and comparing. Oh, well, no, up to yesterday evening, I was in a little dialogue and someone is saying to me, well, now that we are allowing 15 people to ride in the bus, or the bus is running full, why are we still socially distancing children in school? You know, and it's simply that. I am not the one making those regulations. Neither Ms. Duncan, nor is it the government per se. It passes through the government, but believe it or not, all of these protocols are being informed by medical experts.
Of course.
People who are in the business of knowing what's happening health-wise around the world. I mean, sadly, we have just passed the 1 million mark of deaths by COVID.
Yeah.
Some experts believe it could be more. That's what is registered, that's what is recorded, so that's what they can talk about. Over 1 million human beings around the world has died as a result of the contracting COVID-19. But here, what is even more worrying, and that is one of the things that I want us to take cognizance of. The medical experts, the scientists, those who are researching this virus and hoping that they may find a vaccine or be able to do something, put some kind of protocol in place, not just to control, but to eradicate or to significantly reduce its effect, its crippling and negative effects on human beings, are saying that there is a strong possibility that we may see a further 1 million people dying of the illness before we can fully control it or find a virus for it. That is what is frightening for me. No, it's bad. It's hard to digest that 1 million. I mean, I know many years ago, 1 million was a lot. These days, we hear most things being counted in millions now, so millions don't seem that much. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a little story about 1 million. I was still a youngster coming out of La Poterie in St. Andrews out in the countryside. And when I was about 19, turning 20, thereabout, I was 20, I think, turning 21, I was employed in the public service as a custom officer. And my first position in that department was what is still referred to today as the votes clerk. I don't know if you know what position is a votes clerk in any ministry or any department. The votes clerk would be the person who deals with handling salaries and payments and so. And the customs department at the time, under the Ministry of Finance, was the place where, and I'm talking about in the 90s, early 90s, where at least then 60% of government revenue was being collected through customs. Yes? So as votes clerk, I also had the responsibility to make up the deposit on a daily basis and carry that to the bank for deposit.
Right.
And I'm talking many, many years ago. And it was the first time in my life as a young boy I was able to count and hold and touch $1 million in cash money. It was a frightening experience, but it is something that has taught me a lot. Today, $1 million doesn't seem a lot again as it was then. But to lose 1 million lives, 1 million people.
Yep.
Now, that is almost 10 times the amount of people that lives in Grenada.
Yep.
To have 1 million deaths. I mean, we are a little over 100,000 people, but a lot of people just simply say sometimes Grenada's population is 100 million. It's about 110 thereabouts.
109 or something.
Well, that's why I put it off as 110, right? So what that really means, to put it into context, that the entire population in Grenada, man, woman, child, from baby to old lady, old man, or senior
Can
citizens,
be wiped out.
will have to die 10 times.
Yep.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
1 million people dying so far. Right? But here it is, they're saying that before we can really put a handle on this thing, we believe that we'll see that happening again before we can put a handle.
Yeah.
So when the authorities say to us in Grenada, at the moment, yes, we do not have any medically tested case of COVID. But let us not drop our guards and take things for granted.
Yeah.
Let us continue to follow the protocols. Let us do, because the reason why we don't have, and we never had a death,
It's because
and
of
we
the
were able, the 24 people in Grenada who had it was able to get, well, it's because we have been following protocols all along. It's because we have been doing things the correct way. But if we now get complacent and feel we don't have to follow, chances are we're seeing a reintroduction in a lot of countries, in Europe, in the United States, even in the Caribbean. Jamaica, for example, they're going up in numbers. In the last 24 hours, up to the news of yesterday evening, they had about 7 or 9 deaths, And there are other jurisdictions around us where it's happening. So let's stop making these silly statements. They said do this. They're opening the country. They're bringing in people. We want to protect lives, but you also have to make room for livelihoods.
Of course.
Because all of the people in Grenada whose lives are being saved, they need to live. Remember the hotel industry closed down, it went out, and that is causing people to say, don't focus on tourism, focus on agriculture. We have never stopped focusing on agriculture. But there must be a combination.
Yep.
As a result of no tourism, the farmers are crying out. They can't sell the vegetables, the watermelons are spoiling. They have to give away because there's not sufficient people to utilize it, to eat it. The hotels are not buying because they have no one, right?
Yeah.
So you must do it side by side. They work one with the other. And you're trying to bring it back slowly. 4,000 people was being made unemployed as direct workers in the hotel industry. Now, that doesn't include vendors and taxi drivers and water sports operators and all these people, nightclub operators, just the people working directly in the hotels. We have a caller.
We have a call on the line. Let's take this call quickly. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. I'm trying to get HARDTALK.
Yes, and you're live?
On HARDTALK?
Yes.
Okay, well, I would like to speak ask a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Please.
You're live. Go ahead. Ask the question.
All right. It's pertaining to lands. Now,
All right, caller, can you listen to us on the telephone and not on the radio?
Telephone, but I'm trying to frame my question.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Now, not parliament, but
Cabinet?
Cabinet. Give you a parcel of land, approve a parcel of land to you, right? You have your documents in your hand. Can anybody from the ministry or any high person from the ministry or so come at any one point in time and take away from your lot a portion of land and give to somebody else?
Okay, that's the entire question you want to ask?
Well, so far, yes.
Right. So I don't know if you want to stay on the phone. I'll attempt to answer it for you as clearly as I can.
Yes.
So you can hang up and listen on the radio if you wish. And maybe if you have a follow-up, you can call back. It's up to you. Or you can stay.
I will listen on the phone.
You will stay on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So based on what you're saying, for anyone to get a parcel or become the owner or be in control, not necessarily the owner, but be in control of any government property, cabinet is the only one can make that decision. Now your parliamentary rep can go to cabinet and say something on your behalf, or you can make an application directly to through the Ministry of Lands to say, look, I'm interested in a piece of government land. You may know where it is, so you may want to tell them there's a prescribed form that you go and fill out and so. That will be sent to cabinet. They will give justification why they feel you should have it, and cabinet will give you that document. It's a letter generally that says, cabinet at its meeting on such and such day did approve 10,000 square feet, 5 acres, whatever the amount may be for you. If they're selling, they will tell you the conditions of sale. You know, they're selling at $2 a square foot, $5 a square foot, bam. If they are listing, they'll tell you, well, you have a lease agreement or you need to get an agreement which the Ministry of Legal Affairs will prepare for 10 years, 20 years, whatever. If they're just allowing you to live on the lot for a rent of $5 a year, they will tell you all of that. So that letter will say that.
So if any point in time they want to come and they want to change, let's say probably they want to, well, the documents state that they could take you off from that property anytime.
Okay.
Right?
So let me just ask you one question before you go forward. Is it a piece of property that you can purchase, or is it a property that you're listing?
Well, we're supposed to be paying for it.
Right. So from what I know, except the laws has changed in very recent time, whenever government sell land in particular, they'll give you up to 12 years
we have that.
in which to pay for it. Now, after 12 years has passed, if you did not pay in full for the property, they can't take it back. It's just like you have a hire purchase with Coates or one of them. You know, they give you a fridge, they give you a stove, you're using it, they tell you pay $50 a month. After a certain period, if you're not paying, they come and they call what they reclaim.
But,
you know?
Yeah, but in case, let's suppose that you might be probably in default before the 12 years.
Right.
If they have to come and take that property from you, they must inform you.
Right, that should happen. In fact, once you're defaulting on your payment, the Ministry of Lands officers, because there's what is called a director of land, somebody directly responsible for all those matters. And they should have their records and say, Roland Bola has not paid now for 3 months. We wonder what the issue is. So they can pick up the phone and contact you if they have a phone number for you. Or they can write a letter that can be signed by the permanent secretary, not necessarily the minister, because the PS is the administrator of the ministry, and they should get that letter to you to remind you of the agreement that you have with government to pay X amount per month, and that now 3 months, 6 months, 1 year has passed. So there is what they call a paper trail. There's a file saying, look, that we have written to this man 6 times over the last year, or over the last 2 years. He has not responded. He didn't come in and make a payment. He didn't come in and say, look, I'm in a financially bad position, so give me a break for 6 months or nothing. He has never responded to us. And then they can make an application to cabinet to say, look, we are going to recommend that we reclaim the land. Now, that is before you're 12 years up.
Yeah.
But if your 12 years has surpassed, they can just write to cabinet and say, look, Roland Bola now has had this parcel of land for 12 years. He needed to pay X amount. He only paid $1,000. No, because there's an interest, I think, of 3% or something annually.
5%.
Right. The interest has now surpassed what the capital. And I've seen a lot of cases where ministers came into cabinet pleading on behalf of people and for different reasons. And most of the times, cabinet say, okay, let's give them another chance. I've never known where they just say, okay, your 12 years passed, forget that. That was the deal, we take it. Sometimes they say, well, okay, let's give her additional 3 years, let's give her additional 4 years, pay up your
no, well, I don't want to take much of your time. I don't want to take much of it, and that is not really what you're discussing today. But 2 years, probably just approximately around 2 years, just a little over 2 years now, since we received a piece of document from cabinet for the parcel of land.
Yes.
But since around that time, one neighbor claims to be in charge of a portion of the land behind of our house.
Mm-hmm.
And then as recently as 3 Wednesdays ago, a surveyor come and take out a portion right in front of our house. And that is the only means of
access to the land?
Access to the land.
Yeah.
And give it to a neighbor.
Well, I don't know. Is it something that you probably need to go to the ministry?
Isn't coming and deal with it. We call them how many times? They tell us they come in since last week, and up to now they don't come in.
I think you should take direct actions. Now, if the portion that they cut out includes what was given to you, if it came into your boundary lines, I think it's an issue that you need to try to have an audience with the permanent secretary, or probably get somebody who can prepare a proper letter for you, write to the permanent secretary, copy it to the minister, letting them know what transpired. Because sometimes, believe you me, sometimes there are people who take on their own and does things without the authorization of cabinet. Huh?
Mr. Bola?
Yes.
I have already done what you just said about the letter to the permanent secretary. I spoke to him. He told me to do that.
Yes.
I did that since last Friday.
Yes.
And it was confirmed that he received the letter.
Yes.
And sent it to the relevant authority.
Yes.
By Tuesday. It was confirmed. And up to today, nobody.
Tuesday of this week, Tuesday of last week?
Tuesday of this week.
Right.
And
so I would suggest that you give them, I would say, approximately 2 weeks more. Yeah. Sometimes the wheels turn very slowly in the public service. Shouldn't be that way. Shouldn't be that way, but that's how it is, my brother. So I'd say probably give them 2 weeks, and if nothing happens, then maybe you can call us again. Maybe you can, and we will then, I personally will promise you that I'll make some inquiries for you 2 weeks from now. I can't tell you that I will be able to do anything. I'm not in government anymore. I don't work with government, but I am willing to speak to someone who I believe may have the authority, the PS, the minister, if that situation continues. But from what you ask, no one should have the authority to take away a portion or any amount of the land that was given to you via the cabinet conclusion, except cabinet say so, and cabinet give the reason why they want to do so.
Definitely, because we haven't gotten no correspondence from cabinet.
From cabinet. Yes.
That changes is taking place.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Bola.
You're welcome, sir.
All right. All the best.
Sometimes these things do happen. Public servants sometimes, and I want to be careful, because sometimes when you say public servants, a lot of people feel that you're washing everybody in the same water. No, there are those among us who feel, we understand the system and we can do something to help a friend to do, and as a result, you tread on the corns of other people, But cabinet has that authority, and if cabinet does something, unless you break the law in one way or the other, no one has the authority except cabinet itself rescind the first decision they made and give you a second letter saying, look, well, we had given you 10,000 square feet, but we have reconsidered, and now we want to cut you down by 2,000 square feet, or whatever the case may be, and so on, send the surveyors.
Okay, we have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Mr. Bola, good
morning. Morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Mr. Bola, Mr. Khan, I was listening to a program this morning that I heard somebody was speaking about concerning to do with some African person that, and he did something and then he eventually ended up in prison. And what the caller was saying, we mustn't treat black people so. We mustn't treat black people so we black, and that's how we treating black people, which I agree with him. I'm not attacking the message, but I'm attacking the messenger, because that same messenger, one that always be on program, lambasting the Prime Minister, have the worst thing to say about the Prime Minister. I believe everybody should be treated equal. Right? I understand that some of we are so hypocritical. Right? Yes, we want to see everybody be treated, but then in the own side of the mouth, they have the worst thing to say about the same black skin people. Right? So I want to say to the caller, yes, everybody should be treated equal. But then when you, on programs, lambasting the Prime Minister, have no respect for one another, that is hypocritical. Because I always believe righteousness, exalted nation, righteousness should go for everybody. So what you're saying, I agree with you. But when you listen to what you're saying about the same black people in your own country, lambasting and have the worst thing to say about them, that we have the problem. So, Mr. Duncan, Sabola, you all have a wonderful day. God bless
You too.
You have a wonderful day yourself. I don't know.
I think that is the same issue with the guy that was in asylum, that came seeking asylum.
Okay.
And it was well explained, that issue. Sometimes the asylum is not being sought here in Grenada; it's being sought in
I
another
heard some
country.
explanation about that sometime ago.
Hopefully,
I think
when
it was
Minister
the Honorable Peter David
that gave the
that
explanation.
gave some explanation. Yes.
And hopefully the Minister for Legal Affairs can
Give
elaborate on it. Now,
yeah.
let me just make the announcement, because we have been having calls, and I haven't said that the lines are open, but you know our people, and time does disappear on us. And the one thing we really want to talk about, we haven't even touched it yet.
Well, maybe we may never touch it today.
Maybe we
know.
may not touch it today, because I think it requires a full program. And see, we have a caller already on the line. Hello, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Mills. Oh, no. It seems like we lost him.
Okay.
So, guys, the lines are open. The number to call is 440-7377. If you're calling locally, if you're in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, the number to call is 347-329-3101. And, of course, we have WhatsApp calling and WhatsApp messaging available. And you can leave a comment or a concern on the live video stream, and we will be more than happy to do our best to address it. There's someone here asking, who transports persons from the location? I believe that was addressed in the previous protocols. What happens is, when you make the reservation, the place that you make the reservation with knows that you're coming. They know the date and all of that, and they provide transportation
from the airport
from the airport to
the facility.
To the facility. If you are coming and you're not going to a facility that you have to pay for, let's say you're coming and you are short on funds and you requested that government house you or quarantine you, government does have a facility available, and they also have personnel that will transfer you from the airport to that facility also. So there will be no persons hiring a taxi and say, oh, look, take me from here to there. There will be proper accommodations made to take you from point A to point B. Right? So the lines are open, guys, if you have questions.
And whatever costs that is associated, I think all of that
is covered in the
reservation. And so people must know that they have to be paying for the first 4 days and what have you.
Good morning, Mr. Mills.
Good. How you know it's me?
She have a tab on you, Mr. Mills. Yeah, she just sends you when you're calling. You're the only person when you're calling she doesn't know.
How are you?
I'm good like cook food.
Not all cooked food are good, you know, Mr. Mills.
No, the one I'm talking about is good.
Mr. Mills, rain falling in Carriacou?
But as you say, that this night incident will happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday I live outside good. And I go and sleep. When I wake up this morning and I come out and I open the door, I see the sea bus somewhere.
Yeah?
You have to be the sea bus and he come and he make a pond right in front.
Right in front of your place? Yeah, we had some good overnight rain, man.
But if you see a pond full right up our water.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing for you.
I know, no. But I didn't hear any rain coming, no.
Well, you sleep so hard, man. That means you're sleeping well.
When I come out, I see the pond full of water. So listen what I do, eh?
Yes.
I go outside and I take my finger and I touch the water and I taste it if it's salty. I don't know if it come from the sea water.
No, man, it was good rain that came from heaven.
Yeah, it was good rain, eh?
Yeah. I heard it last night, but just around 2 o'clock this morning, they started up by my side. And it was really heavy, but then afterwards it died down a bit and just kind of trickled right through until about 6 o'clock this morning.
And we expected to get some more.
Yeah. They were talking about a wave, one after the other.
Yeah, one has passed and one is oncoming.
And they said it was going to bring quite a bit of rain.
They say you send some raindrops, eh?
Well,
yes,
that's good. We're grateful for that.
Maybe we would still find in the next day or two some more water coming.
Yeah.
I hope you fill up your cistern.
Cistern?
All your tanks, not? That's how they call it in Carriacou?
Yeah, all water tank in the yard.
Yes.
And he full of water.
He full of water, well, thank God for that. Yes.
You can't dry easy, eh?
Yeah.
No,
they say we can survive for many days without food, but with water, we have to drink at least a glass every day.
Yes, for that, yeah. But you have a lot of water in it.
Good.
So
Good.
according to the old people, we have to pinch it.
Yes.
So we take him a copper.
Yes. Yes.
Pinch it until it go down.
Until it go down. I like that.
Man and kidnap a man in Grenada W.I.
Don't do that. I know you want to look me for confusion, you know. Because I ain't come. Well, you know, did they go already? Minister for the business committee. They were supposed to go in Carriacou last week, you know.
I wonder if they're not there now. No, they're not. They went already, man.
They went? Okay. Right. So that was the reason they tell me all of us can go up same time.
Oh, no, because they say all minister can fly in a jet.
You know, not all at the same time. So my time coming soon. Mr. Mills.
So how soon he coming?
Boy, I'd have to talk to Madam Campbell. When I finish on this program, I remind her again, Mr. Mills is dying. He say I ain't coming. And the man go to come down Grenada to take me up. So
you ever ride in a Mercedes Benz?
Oh, never. You have a Benz?
I come in the airport and pick you up with a Benz.
I hear you. I want that.
You want that?
I want to ride in a Benz.
You get on a Benz.
Yes. But it should be soon, honestly, because we spoke about it, and she did say that team, there were a couple of guys, 4 or 5 of them, that had to do a couple of sessions in Carriacou.
Well, when you go inside and you close the door, you go say, oh, we are reaching England so quick.
Are you just so quick?
No, when I reach you on the airport and you're walking in the car and you close back the door.
Yes.
You wonder how you meet in England so quick.
In England, I ended up?
I know that in England at the air conditioner.
Oh, God, Lord.
I hear you, Mr. Mills. You never
Don't say embarrassing now on a joke.
You never cease to make me laugh, man. I hear you.
The air conditioner in the car.
In the car is good, yeah. Very well.
Some people might laugh in them or say, what is the man telling them? But I think they do understand me, some people.
Right. Great. Well, we thank you again. We are always happy to hear you. We're grateful for people like you.
You just eat sweet potato. You know why sweet potato?
Mr. Mills, that's a good food.
Cassava.
That's a good food.
Very good food.
Very good food.
Well, it looks like a good food in Carriacou.
Yeah.
I'll bless you with that jelly water as soon as you come, man.
All right. Well, I thank you in advance.
Yeah.
Yep. That will be soon.
And I don't have to me climb already here because me ain't going up there.
No, don't climb no tree. Not at this age. You can't climb tree now, Mr. Mills.
How old am I?
Yeah.
How old am I not at this age?
I don't know.
And you tell me not at this age?
Not at your age.
And you don't like when I say he older than him, can you imagine? Look at that. Just assuming the man old.
No, I didn't call the man old, you know. I said not at your age. And that didn't mean old. He could be a young child. He could be, 3 years. I won't put a 3-year-old on a coconut tree.
You hold me now.
I never call you old. Me? Why could do that? They say a man is as young as he feel.
That's right.
Yes.
Because you watching me thinking, look at me at 3 years old, I make a kind of 3 years.
You understand?
I have 4 years.
You understand?
But you didn't tell me about the age.
Not at all.
Well, Mr. Mills, we always love hearing from you, but we want to clear up the lines for other people who are trying to call as well, okay?
Okay, doc.
We'll hear
Take
from you
care,
again
man.
soon.
Be good. Pretty soon.
All right, then you all have a nice day. Listen to me.
Yes.
I love hearing your program.
Thanks.
And I must call by because I'll boost me up like a booster.
All right.
We thank you very much for that, Mr. Mills.
Mr. Bola and Cousin
Cousin Duncan, yes.
Have a nice day.
You have a blessed one. God bless you, sir. Take good care.
Love.
One love, Mr. Mills, out of Carriacou.
Mr. Bola, I feel I want to touch just a little bit on what we wanted to speak about because we don't know what next week is going to hold. We have about 25 minutes.
You have all that minutes still? You sure about that?
Yeah, man.
No, man.
Yeah, man.
Something about your calculation is bad. Because we normally close at 11:40 to 45.
We have about 25 minutes.
We don't, because you have the national report. Stop arguing about that. It's 24. It's almost 25 minutes past. 25 and 15 is 40, if my maths is correct. And if you take 5 minutes more, it brings you to 11:45. That's still 20 minutes. So you could have 25. Where you get the
so we have
five?
20 minutes.
Well, maybe you were calculating that in pesos.
I was giving you a little room for the extra 5 minutes.
So when
Mr.
you think,
Bola.
but right, Okay, but let me just take that on quickly, Ms. Duncan, before you're coming with all of that. On Monday, you remember in our discussion, I did make some mention about the debouchers and so. And I did make it absolutely clear that I don't want anyone feel that I'm bashing them.
Yeah.
I was just making an observation. And it's something that I've seen over time, right? And I still plan to pen a letter to the minister, the incoming minister of works, to register some of the concerns that I have. I don't know if anything will be done about that. It had to do with some of the people, not all of them. And I did make the point that some people do excellent work. You feel proud when you see it. As a taxpayer, I feel when I see the kind of work some people do that they should get work all the time. There are others, again, they don't inspire you to want to see them work at all. And the reason why I'm just raising that now again is because I've received quite a lot of calls. Some people saying that we're happy that you raised that. These are things that we see too. We believe people should do better. And there are one or two people who felt that I was a little hard and I was trying to bash, and not because they are the poor people. No, I just want to make it absolutely clear. I love the fact that these people can get work, but I also want them to protect what they have. You know, the point is, if you're looking for something better, you have all right, because we have a right to aspire for more all the time and for better and for improvement. And even my wife said to me, she said, I don't know, I guess you were very passionate when you were speaking, but I listened to you, as she oftentimes does, and I thought you came across with a little hostility in your voice. And I want to say to her and to everyone else, I was not hostile. And if I sounded like that or made anyone feel that I was attacking, I am sorry about that. It was not a matter of attacking. It was just that I get very passionate sometimes about certain things, because for me, I believe that whatever we do, nothing that brings $1 to us for survival should be too degrading. There are one or two things that you do in life that you may regret, and I would not want to encourage people to do it. There are some things I wouldn't say to a young man or a young lady, because things are so tough with you and it's difficult to get by, that you should probably go and sell drugs. I don't believe at all that is something that you need to do. But once it's honest work, and you're not doing anything immoral, I think you should do it with pride. And I just again want to repeat some of the things that I said, is that for the debouchers in particular, if you're a man, for example, you're expected to cut or clean. A lot of the guys nowadays, they use the weed walker, the weed eater. And that's fine, because they work well with it, they work fast with it. You just have to be absolutely careful, because you're on the side of the road. And sometimes in walking those things, the little debris pitch, stones, this. So incoming, oncoming vehicles, when they blow you, you should stop to allow them to pass, so that no damage, no accidents can be created. Or even when pedestrians are passing, you don't want a stone be flinged from the weed eater to hit someone on the shim or in the eyes or something like that. So we have to respect that. But I also made the point that even if you're doing a weed walker, you need to walk on the job with a cutlass, because there are some little shrubs and things that the weed walker is not able to cut. So you cut all the grass around and you leave a little shrub and a little one over there, and 6 feet away another one, because you don't have a cutlass to cut it. So you need to also have a cutlass. That's your tool of trade. That's what you're doing. And for the ladies, and I have been saying, and what I said is that they should walk with the proper equipment. Walk with a rake, walk with a broom, what have you, so you can clean up after the guy's cut. Yeah. Yes? Some people have a stick. Walk with a glove. This morning on my way down, I did pass the St. John's area. I had to go into Gov and down that western coast. And I saw 2 or 3 people on the road in different groups, in different gangs, with their gloves on. It's wet, it's raining, you don't want to use your hand to touch. Listen, you get a little money, yes. It may not be a lot and you don't get it regularly. There's a lot you have to do. You have to stretch the dollar, as we say. But remember, if that's what you do to get $1, you have to prepare for it. Yeah. So a percentage of what you have must go towards getting the tools that you need to prepare you for the work that you want to do.
Of course.
Right? And so I want people to understand, I am not against anyone getting the work. I just want people to do the work properly, so that people are happy when they see what you're doing, and a lot of those who are actually bashing, because there are some people who bash. There are some people who aren't. Like I said earlier on this morning, it doesn't matter what you do, how you do it, who benefits, they just will be against it once it's been done or controlled by the new National Party. And there are some people who are saying, that the government is wasting money putting people to clean the sides of the roads, to beautify. They don't want that, and they don't want you to survive. So I'm saying to you, do what you're doing in pride, so that even when these people decide that they're going to criticize, someone can stand up for you to say, listen, man, these people need one, but secondly, when they get it, they do a proper job that makes us feel proud and makes us understand money well spent. And that's the point I really just want to bring.
Absolutely. And you and I sometimes get very passionate about things. Like for me, the education system is something I'm very passionate about. So sometimes when I speak about it, it comes across as if, and I've had that issue before where people thought I was bashing teachers or bashing schools and so on. And it's not that. It's just that sometimes you look at something and you see what it can be, and you see how easily it can be done, and you feel like it's being taken advantage of. And it's upsetting, and it's not that you're bashing, but it fires a passion in you, and you have to speak about it passionately, and it happens. It happens to the best of us, However, being able to apologize for offending people unintentionally is also it's also a good thing.
I never meant to offend. I really meant to send a message, and I hope people take it for what it's worth.
Absolutely.
And I just want to add, because that I did not say the last time, and I have recognized it even recently in the last week, a place where and it's happening more and more often, and I think it's something the authorities need to look into. So you're doing a building, you're doing some renovation to your house, and the truck drop you a load of sand, a load of gravel. Maybe you don't have a proper driveway, or the truck can't get right to your house, right to your place where you're building. And people will just block drains with these materials for weeks and weeks and weeks, months sometimes, creating water becoming stagnated because you load of sand or you load of gravel. We need to stop these things. I mean, look, dengue fever is around now. There are people right here in Grenada who have contracted the illness, and a lot of it is, dengue is caused by mosquito, and they breathe in stagnant water. We need to be more conscious. I've seen just recently where the bushers clean the road and everything, proper, nice looking. The very next day or two, somebody living above the road on a little hill, clean the garden up, cut the bushes, and just throw it all into the drain, just where the people cleaned up a week before. What does the authority do about that? I mean, it's not nice. They just finished cleaning, and you just clean your land, and you throw everything into the same drain on the side of the road. I've seen people cut gaps, and all of the mold and everything, they just drop it in the drain, and they leave it. It's none of the business. That should not be. We need to take cognizance of those things, and those in authority, those given the responsibility for the maintenance and the upkeep of our road, have to deal with these issues. And as citizens, we have to become much more conscious. You can't just take all the debris from your yard, from your land, from your place. You throw it in the drain, you throw it on the side of the road. You don't care what happens. Sometimes they block roads with blocks, and I can understand that you don't have the ability, or you don't have the passage for a truck to go right into your yard. So you need to drop it there. But get it moved as quickly as possible so you can clear it.
Now, with that being said, Mr. Bowler, we are expecting some inclement weather over the weekend into next week. Expecting being the operative word, because sometimes you tell people rain going to fall, and then the rain doesn't fall, and everybody vexed with Nadman and whatever. We are expecting some rain. Anything can happen. Nobody controls Mother Nature. So with that being said, now is the opportune time for individuals to look in their surroundings. Just your surroundings, the drain in front of your house, the drain maybe that side drain that leads into the main drain in front of your house or whatever, and clean it. I say this because when rain falls and these drains are blocked, all of the water runs into the road. And you know what happens over time? It deteriorates the road, right? So then you move from complaining that the drain is blocked to complaining that there's a hole in front of your house. That hole is most likely as a result of water not being irrigated properly. So please, we begging. People always waiting on the ministries. Always the ministry and the environmental wardens have to come and clean up in front there, and they have to clean the drain. Some people just need to take the initiative, take pride
just
in where
become
you
more
live in,
responsible.
and do it for yourself. You know, there are instances when, yes, the road wardens are going to come and they're going to clean it and so on. But please, do it for yourself. Sometimes as a neighbor up the road, there debris that washed down in your yard. You understand? Or just please. And that's where community spirit comes in.
And sometimes when you do just that, you protect your own self and your property as a result.
Of course.
You know, it prevents that landslide from happening. It prevents the water from running underneath your house and digging away the foundation of your house. And so many things that can happen as a result of you not just taking 15 minutes to unblock some debris in the drain.
And I want to say this, Mr. Bola, with no apologies. There are some Grenadians that just too nasty. And I want to sugarcoat it. I want to put it in better terms. I want to say it as it is. They're too nasty. Please stop littering your country. It is unbelievable the amount of litter and debris that is washed down in drains, that you see on the side of the road, that you see people passing their vehicles and throw into people's private properties. You go to some of those sites. Look, the other day I'm listening to one of our radio personalities talking about that place, very popular place, Welcome Rock. People going up there with their things and just throwing it and leaving. I mean, y'all too nasty. I can't put it better. They're too nasty. And then you have people talking about, we need environment. You ain't need no environmental wardens. Y'all too nasty. Clean up after yourselves. Government doesn't need to hire people to walk behind you or issue you with a ticket or tell you to pick up your cup that you throw in the drain. Clean up after yourself. It's ridiculous, Mr. Bola. It is ridiculous.
I agree.
It is ridiculous.
I just not join in with you to say...
no, it's nastiness.
That they're nasty.
But it's nastiness.
I prefer to say that some people do not sanitize after.
It is nastiness, Mr. Bola. I'm not sugarcoating it. They need to hear it for what it is.
I'm not sugarcoating anything.
How can you feel comfortable? I mean, even if you have to walk with a little bag inside of your bag, you know, so you could throw your things away, and when you get to tie up your stuff, and when you get to a bin, throw it away. You know, how hard is that to do? But you're throwing it on the ground, and you have somebody to clean that up. When you go to Welcome Rock, who is on Welcome Rock to clean up these things? There are new waterfalls and things that are being discovered all over the place, and people are visiting them. Who is going up there with a trash bag to pick up on a garbage truck to pick up after you? It is ridiculous, man. That is nastiness. And then we want to complain when people decide that they're locking off their place, and when people decide that they're putting up fences and gates and so on, and you can't access. We want to be upset, but you cannot be upset if you go in and litter in places where you're not supposed to be littering in. You know?
But we shouldn't litter anywhere at all.
I believe it was one country, I read it, I don't know how factual it is, but it's something that I find if we get in litter wardens, that is what we need to do. They have cameras about looking at people littering and so on, and then they're mailing it back to you. Mail it back to you, man, and dispose of your litter properly. It is ridiculous.
Well, it's a cost to pick up the litter and mail it to people. Eh?
It's ridiculous. Why would you do something like that? Why would you watch a nice, clean drain and throw a plastic bag in it or throw a box in it, knowing that if the rain falls, what happens over time is that debris accumulates and causes a bottleneck. And then afterwards, you're complaining about there's no proper drainage and we need litter wardens, and we don't need no litter wardens. Y'all just need to enact what you were taught at home to clean up after yourself.
If they were taught at home.
And if you weren't taught it at home, please learn it now. Clean up after yourselves. Y'all are too nasty.
And you know what makes it worse is that sometimes it's a drain, it's a waterway that has just been cleaned, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, the same wardens or whoever just cleaned it up, and you find it necessary to just dump your stuff. Just throw your garbage.
It's very disgusting.
It's very not nice of us. And some of us are the same people that complain about they need to do more. We need to plant flowers. Yeah. We need to this. We need to make our environment better. We need to protect the environment and the ecosystem and all of those things while we continue to contribute to its degradation, to its demise in various ways. We complain about hotels being built and all these things, and we're cutting down trees, but we ain't doing anything better to protect the very things that we have.
But those people that are complaining about the environment, you don't see them on the roads picking up debris and trying to, you don't see them running campaigns, these extensive social media campaigns, encouraging Grenadians to clean up their litter or to not litter at all, or to clean up after themselves. All they're doing is acting as pressure groups for government to pressure them into doing what they want them to do. Start small. Start with the Grenadians. Get them to clean up after themselves. You know, it's ridiculous. I don't understand.
With ourselves, I would say, because some of us, even though we complain, we don't comply. We complain about what we see other people do. We complain about all the things that we perceive is wrong, but we don't lead by example. We don't think, and so many of us nowadays travels from one point of the country to the next with our own private vehicles. There's so many Grenadians that own their vehicles or ride with a friend, and I don't know if it's too difficult. I always have little garbage bags in my vehicle. You would know, Ms. Duncan, because I gave you a lift the last time, and you dip into my garbage bags, just taking as though you think they were there for distribution. They are there so that if I go someplace with my family or with friends, we use it to put our remains so I can offload it into one of the receptacles, the bins that are there. And so if we start just adopting those kind of habits, and we need to start with ourselves.
Yes.
We do it. People see us doing it. Somebody may follow. We talk to our friends about doing it properly. We talk to our relatives and our family. So we start at home. We don't do like a gentleman. Most of us behave like a gentleman. I've learned a story about. I heard a story about. He was so hungry for so many days he did not eat anything. Hungry. And walking through the forest, he ended up into a field of bananas. And he came upon this bunch of bananas that was ripening. And he said, Lord, I am so grateful to you. You know, I've been so hungry, I feel I can eat that entire bunch of banana. But you know what he started doing? He started by eating the half-ripe ones first. He said he's so hungry. So he ate all of the half-ripe bananas. And then he was so full that he couldn't eat the ripe ones. Let's start at home. Let's eat the ripe ones first.
And then,
right? Closest to us. Forget the half-ripe ones. Eat the ripe ones, and then we'll get onto the half-ripe
Somebody
ones.
said that's why Ms. Duncan, that's why you wanted 25 minutes. You have a lot on your chest to get out. And we have not even touched the core issue, and we're going to leave it for Monday. The reason why is because whenever Mr. Bola and I get passionate about something, it tends to spill over.
Hold on 1 minute, Ms. Duncan. Whenever we speak about things passionately, when we get passionate.
Whenever we speak about things passionately.
Careful.
Because Mr. Bola is a stickler for words and interpretation of words.
When you string words, people sometimes get an interpretation that may not go well with others. When we get passionate, we, meaning you and I, getting passionate at the same time, don't go...
when we are passionate about similar topics.
Right.
Let me put it in that way, because he's similar. He's very he's a stickler for how words come together and the interpretation of words.
Yes.
There
I've
are
had
things,
problems with that before. So
there are things that we do want to discuss. A very important topic in particular that we want to discuss, and maybe we'll spend time on Monday. Although we dedicate on Mondays to our callers to call and
we'll take the first 20 minutes on Monday, hopefully, to speak on that issue. And then we'll...
But Mr. Bola, you alone must take 20 minutes to speak on an issue.
I try to hold back.
I would love to see that. I hope you all are listening. He said he would try to hold back.
I will.
We'll see what happens.
You know, in English language in school, they teach you about précis. You know, you can write a story of up to 500 words, or you can read a story, and then they ask you in exam to give your thoughts on the story in 200 words.
Okay.
Or in 150 words. So you must get out all the main points. So what I will do is keep my conversation on Monday on the issue as a miniskirt.
Okay.
As a miniskirt. And let me explain what I mean by keeping it as a miniskirt. I'll keep it short enough to keep you interested, but long enough to cover the main part.
All right.
Right?
Okay.
So my presentation on Monday morning, God's willing, should I survive the weekend, would be just like a miniskirt. Prepare for it.
All right. Guys, we are out of time. We actually over the time that we are expected. So we are going, and not letting Mr. Bola say goodbye, because when he says goodbye, he takes 5 minutes. You see why I wanted 25 minutes? So, Mr. Bola, just in 30 seconds, tell the people have a good day.
Everyone who was listening today, it was a pleasure having you. Those who got the opportunity to call, we thank you. Please continue. If you can't call, send your messages. Some people have done so on the live. Use the WhatsApp as well. We'll be with you, God's willing, tomorrow. Please, God, I hope you have an enjoyable Thursday afternoon. Do have fun if you need to. Just be careful. Follow the protocol. Absolutely. I do not want you to be at statistics in the next million based on what the experts say may have to pass due to COVID before we can find a way to get rid of it. Stay safe until we meet again.
Well,
have
look
a
at
good
that.
Thursday.
Look at that. You did it in a short time. Guys, it's always a pleasure being here with you. As we say here every day, in whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe, be secure. We always want to be talking with you, and we don't ever want to be talking about you. Please enjoy the remainder of your day and stay tuned for the National Report. And while, guys, it's always a pleasure being here with you. As we say here every day, in what
National Sustainable Development to be the focus of 2021 budget. Details to this and other stories in the National Report. With the details to the news for Friday 25th September 2020, I'm Delroy Louzan. Grenada's National Sustainable Development Plan 2020 to 2035 will be the anchor for the country's 2021 budget, which will be presented later this year.
Government pushing ahead with plans for the 2021 budget despite economic uncertainties created by COVID-19 pandemic. Details to this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back. With the details to the news for Wednesday, September 30th, 2020, I am Sharian Noel. The government of Grenada is pushing ahead with plans for the 2021 budget, despite the economic uncertainties created by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Ministry of Finance on Wednesday hosted the country's budget retreat, held virtually because of the physical distancing protocols. An annual staple on the ministry's calendar, the budget retreat seeks to present government's key strategic priorities for the upcoming budget year, chart the way forward for the public sector investment program, highlight key interventions for the last quarter of the current budget year, and agree on action, reporting requirements, and timelines for the preparation of the national budget. Addressing government ministers, permanent secretaries, heads of departments, finance and planning officers in attendance, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, underscored the importance of planning ahead. However, he noted that such planning has become difficult given the uncertainty of the current environment.
We need to focus on getting our economy growing again and in creating employment opportunities for people. We need to look at the policies, projects, and programs with the greatest potential in this period that will drive the recovery. This will cut across several areas, including agriculture, construction, manufacturing, tourism, education, and ICT. We need also to look at what opportunities have been created by the crisis and seize those opportunities to boost growth and development. Government must deploy all its policies, its policy tools and strategies to help support a strong recovery.
The COVID-19 pandemic has interrupted a prolonged period of solid macroeconomic performance, and the Prime Minister acknowledged that Grenada will experience a sharp decline in economic performance this year, due largely to a reduction in revenue. However, he also noted that it is an opportunity for us to rethink and redefine how we go forward. We must continue to work together to recover and rebuild our economy.
Our responsibility here and the things that we will be doing on this budget and making sure we implement the PSIP program and to situate that the private sector projects are implemented will in fact go a long way in creating hope and opportunities for those who are unemployed at this particular time. So as we prepare for the 2021 budget, we need to make some very important decisions to not only get us back to where we used to be, but also to ensure that we build stronger, more sustainable and resilient economy.
Moving along, Senators Simon Steele and Winston Garraway, who took the oath of office on Tuesday at the residence of the Governor General, are link between the environment
of our hotels and the threat that they pose.
Honored to continue to serve in his area of passion.
I feel honored. This is something that I love doing. It's not new to be working on. It's an honor.
Public servant for many years as a politician and as a minister. We can expect us to focus on youth entrepreneurship. Our WeiVybz department, you would see some more emphasis placed there. We have already set up the Business Support Center because we believe in this trying time we need to promote young entrepreneurs for our country.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Hi. The Grenada Tourism Authority would like to inform you about the tourism industry's reopening protocols for tourism services. This includes marinas and boatyards, boat charters, shopping, and vending. All service providers must adhere to the following general measures once reopened. Where possible, the use of electronic and contactless payment options is preferred. Vendors are to limit the amount of patrons in their space based on 6 feet physical distancing protocols and should wear protective gear such as masks. They should also sanitize their hands after every sale. Guests should be greeted with the usual verbal welcome and should avoid physical contact. 6 feet physical distancing markers should be adhered to in reception areas, and an alcohol-based sanitizing dispenser should be available on entry to offices, reception areas, and work areas. Boat charters should adhere to a contactless greeting, but should also include an orientation on COVID-19 protocols for the benefit of their guests. Capacity should be limited to ensure that physical distancing requirements are maintained. Visitor tracing details should be logged upon guest arrival to include name, contact details, and mode of transportation to the marina. Please visit www.puregrenada.com to download the complete guide that outlines all the protocols for this sector and includes a handy checklist to ensure that all measures are in place. Thank you for your kind cooperation while we welcome all our visitors to Grenada. Thanks.
Welcome back. Foreign Affairs Minister Honorable Peter David says the United Nations is ideally positioned to help member countries combat the devastating effects of COVID-19. Addressing the 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday, Minister David said Grenada, which had projections of an 8th consecutive year of growth, is now utilizing its reserves and seeking international help to finance deficits. Minister David told the General Assembly that despite the best efforts of countries like Grenada, which successfully managed 24 COVID-19 cases with no deaths, the unprecedented scourge has deep and lasting economic and social impacts on already vulnerable states.
There is, therefore, an urgent need for greater cooperation in combating this dreaded pandemic, and this reputable body is best suited to meet this challenge. COVID-19 impacts us all, and we must work together as the failure of one link in our global chain to fight this pandemic affects us all.
The foreign minister also reiterated Grenada's support for an end to the economic, commercial, and financial embargo imposed by the U.S. on Cuba. He said Cuba must be recognized for its contribution in the fight against COVID-19.
In the spirit of multilateralism and inclusion, Grenada has always supported and continues to support General Assembly Resolution 70/5, which calls for an end to the economic, commercial, and financial embargo imposed by the United States of America against Cuba. We call for an end to the embargo against the Cuban people, and we ask for continued solidarity and support for the government and people of Cuba. In spite of all its challenges, the role Cuba has played globally in helping to fight this global pandemic must be noted and lauded. The country's doctors have been at the forefront of this battle in all regions of the world. Grenada wants to thank the government and people of Cuba for their assistance in our own fight, as well as all the other nations which provided direct assistance in this regard.
The second phase of the Chinese low-income housing project will be completed by the year end. That's according to Ambassador Extraordinaire and Plenipotentiary of the People's Republic of China to Grenada, His Excellency Dr. Zhao Yangshan. Ambassador Zhao was speaking at a ceremony Wednesday evening to commemorate the 71st anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. He noted Grenada and China have always shown mutual respect and beneficial cooperation during their 15 years of bilateral relations.
China and Grenada have always stuck to practical cooperation and achieved fruitful outcomes in the fields of agriculture, education, sport, culture, law enforcement, and anti-corruption.
Minister for Foreign Affairs and Labor Honorable Peter David says China's support to the country has impacted every aspect of Grenadian life.
From education and training to housing, from agriculture to healthcare and sports, from high-level government exchanges to social and cultural people-to-people exchanges. Indeed, the strength and stability of our engagement is evident around the country.
And with that story, we come to the end of the National Report for Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I'm Sharian Noel, thanking you for viewing.